Hey folks, welcome to the stream. Hope you're all having a nice, happy holidays. And today, or tonight, we are extending our editor widget. Okay, so we're going to have a look at that in detail. And hopefully, if I've not explained what the editor widget does, you're soon going to find out. Okay, when we actually start editing it. So, a little starter on it is it's a widget that you can interact and make it do things in the editor for you. For example, what I'm doing here is picking an item, getting all the items, showing each of the symbols, and then I can create that as an interactable item or a mesh. Okay, I can set up its default values, etc., and we can basically take it from there. So this is the code that's driving it at the moment, which some of it we're not using. So what I'm going to do is we're going to remove the stuff that isn't used at the moment. Okay, we're not setting this, so we can leave that be. And at the moment, you can see this one is creating a ladder. Okay, now the next one we want to do is the weapon. Okay, so we can see that that's doing a weapon, which is fine. And we want to take it one step further after this. And we don't want to do that. Okay, so we might do something with this in a minute or two, or for other objects, but for right now, we are going to do this one next. Let's do the fuel next, okay? Or in fact, let's do food next, which is this one here. Okay. And what we're going to have to do, and here is an example of how I set this up. Okay, so in our categorize models, we, for example, go into food, we open up the meat, right, and we take off the grid, and we try to get it as centery plot as we can. Okay. And then what we do is we take a screenshot, by using our clipping tool. Then we go into our paint program. Now this, you guys might use Photoshop or Kira or whatever it is, and what we do is we make them the same width and height. Then we paste our stuff in, we move it to the center, or as near as darn it. Then we paint the edges. Then we do file. No, we don't. We get our image and we resize it to 256 by 256. Okay, that. Then we save as, and we are in helper, so we're going to create a new folder. That's going to be food. We open it up and we get a name for it, right, which is going to be SM meat. So we say SM underscore meat, and we prefix it with img and save it. Okay, and the next thing we need to do is, in our editor helper, we need to pick it out when we are actually picking out our items. And the way we do that is we have a data table. Okay, and we add, and we go 17, and our image is going to be meat, and apparently that's not there, so, and that's because I haven't brought it in yet, right? And we need a new folder here called image. Can't remember what I called this for the other ones, so we'll check it out. Image weapons. Okay, that's fine. So we rename this as image food. Now this might seem like quite a lot of work for not a lot at the moment, which it is, kinda is, but in the end, when all this is said and done, this will be easy to add things to the scene and make them either just part of the scenery, or in this case, an interactable item. Okay, and that is going to be a food. So now when we minimize this and we put this in here and we select food, we get our item. Now I can basically click on that and I can click mesh only, and there we have our item. Okay, or we can make it interactable and it's not going to show because I need to move everything once we've done all this, we need to swap some things about. Okay, so we're going to carry on working on this. And our next point is going to be that when we actually come to this, okay, after this part here, right, we are basically going to get these things here and set them in the master. Okay, so we're going to get our selected interactable, and we're going to cast to BP base interactable, and we're going to set can use. Okay, and this we're going to reroute, and that's going to go in there. And then we're going to say can set can pick up, and then we're going to say set can inspect, okay, and then we're going to set can get more info, and then we're going to set needs resource. Okay, and that's all our base classes variables, and now we don't need to set them up when we actually go into our widget in the outliner. What we can do is we can set it up beforehand. Okay, so we can drag this in for can inspect, can pick up, can use, more info, and needs resource. Okay, that's not what we wanted, but that's fine. Okay, and is checked. Yep. So we can pass this in here. We can duplicate it and duplicate it again. then we can get two of these and duplicate them, and that should be us. Okay, our next little job is to move these down here, line them up a bit, and then these will plug in to each of our boxes. And in turn, we're going to move all of these up a bit. That's going to go in there. Now you guys, I'll obviously would tidy this up. Right, you guys will have different ways of doing it. For me, I'm pretty sure. Right, but under normal circumstances, what I would do in this case would be I would drag this down. I would grab all these. I would drag them all up like so. Then I would align them. I would either use alignment or just drag them manually like this. For this I'm just going to do it manually, I would imagine. Not going to take too long. Okay. Drag these back into there. That looks okay to me. Now, the interesting thing here is I'm going to remove that and I'm going to drag this over here. Okay. As an example of something that was there before that I'm not going to use anymore. But what I do want to do is I want to use this. And I probably don't want to do that, so I'm going to plug that into there. We'll see. Okay. And then from here, we're going to create a reroute node. Right, and then we're gradually going to put all these in here. Okay. And this is just for the purposes of making it easier to plug these in, to move this up and whatever. Probably the best idea here, in fact, normally I would zoom this up so that you guys can see it better, but that's going to be a kind of double-edged sword here, because if I do that then you won't be able to see the actual editor tool. So I'm going to go with that for now. Hopefully you guys can read that okay. Save that. Right. So if I deselect all these and I create a weapon, okay, so I'm going to create a weapon here. I'm going to make it this axe, and I'm going to create interactable. Okay. Now, I don't know where that went. But, in theory, these should all be nothing. Which they are. And that's okay. Because that's what I'm testing at the moment. Right? And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring in this one, right? But I'm going to say can use, can pick up, can inspect, right? And now you'll notice that these can use, can inspect, can pick up. So that works a little treat. Now, let's get our items back on the screen, shall we? So, we're going to go into interactable item and go into the parent, and that's not doing anything, which is fine. We're going to go into the event graph, and you'll find that this is pretty much empty. So we're going to look at our event graph, and we're not doing anything there. Okay, that's got, okay. So in effect, we need to find out why our mesh is not getting set up. Okay, so it's going to actually be in our BP weapon, I believe, in this case, right? So we need to go to our content browser. We need to go to our interactive items. We need to go to our BP weapon. Right, and we need to go to our object mesh and get references. Okay, so there's none. Okay, and we want to check our outline mesh as well. None. Okay, so they're not set in our weapon. So one has to believe that they're in here. We've got get, get, get. Okay, so we're not using that anymore. So that should not be set in our object mesh. Now we are setting our outline mesh. And we want to find the references to that. So that is in our outline mesh. that's fine. Okay. So let's have a look at our editor widget again. So we're going to create an axe, interactable. As you can see, it's nothing. Okay, now we can look at our object mesh, and our static mesh is set to nothing. Okay. So when we're making our weapon, we must be doing something that we're not. We're doing it in food, or sorry, we're doing it in our ladder, but we're not doing it in our weapon. Okay, so as you can see here, we can check our ladder. Right, and as you can see here, we're doing this. Okay, so in our weapon, set okay, so we're doing it for our BP interactable. Right, so what I can do is I can duplicate that right. We can plug that in there. We can delete that. And we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to move that to there. And we're going to move that to there. Okay, now this should give us our static mesh for our weapon. Okay, so minimize that, and we've made a change to this. This is why it's basically refreshed. So we can add that, create interactable, and there is our weapon. And it should be set up with zeros. That's correct. Right, so we can say can use, can pick up, can inspect. Right, we've got it selected still, but we'll change it to the halberd, create interactable, and there we go with a free setup ready to go. Okay, so that's basically the last piece of the puzzle there. So what we can do now is basically copy this we can go to our food, which is this one here. We can say set static mesh then we can paste our mesh in, right. In the first instance we can drag this over to here, put this in here, then drag this up and drag that up, and we should be good to go with our food now. So we're gradually building up the number of things that my co-creator can use. So if we go to food, we should be able to select that, can use, can pick up, can inspect, create interactable, and there we go. Okay. And that is now all usable within the game. Okay. Now, what I'm going to need is another section here that's going to be for each item, because the food requires an entry in the data table, okay, that tells you how many things it needs, or let's say how much food or hunger value it gives. So if it gives you 20 hunger value, I need to put that in, right? But we're getting there, right? So we shall do the next one. And I'm not sure which, if we go to the content browser, we can have a look in our editor helper. Sorry, not there. We actually look in here and we've got lots of doors. We've got a drink. So we're going to create a folder and we're going to call it image drinks. That'll do it. Okay. Then we've got lots of doors, so we'll start preparing things. So we're going to have image door. And then we've got our 4 different things here. And this is going to become a new blueprint class that's based on the actual brazier that I made. But it's going to be where you can basically align the fire and stuff. So we're going to have image fire. We've already got our image food, and then we're going to have image fuel. And this is just going to contain all the images to show in the editor, but it's also going to be useful for our inventory, okay? Because we can now use these values as stored images for our inventory, okay? Which is going to be useful. So we'll just create one in miscellaneous image misc. So we've got a food, we've not got a drink yet, so let's do the drink, shall we? So again, we'll slow this down a bit. so that we can get a decent, that'll do. Right, we go show, don't show the grid. If you guys are wondering, it's Windows Shift S for the clipping tool. So Windows Shift S and then select your area. Then we go into our paint program, whichever one you use. Select new. We've got pretty close, so I'm just going to go and paste it. And then I'm immediately just going to resize it to 256 by 256. Because the difference was so low, it's not going to really warp the image or anything like that. So we save as, we go into helper, we create a new folder, we call it drinks. Okay, now I'm not 100% sure what this one is actually called. SM glass, right? So basically that's what we'll call it. So img SM glass. Save it. Okay. Minimize that. Open that folder. Go to our actual folder for our images. Go to our drinks. And yeah, ain't there. So I must have saved it somewhere else. Save as. Okay, so it's in the top folder, so I'm just going to move it. Right. So we just move that into there. Open it up. Drag it in here. Drops a good one. Then normally I'll not do these one by one, by the way. Like, I'm only doing them one by one to get to show you guys an example of how I'm doing this and how it links into how we're building a level, right? But normally I would basically turn like all the doors, do all the images at once, and then if I had 8 of these, I'd just be doing 8 of these, 8 of these, and then that would be it basically set up. So this is going to be a drink, and basically if we go into our drink, we can drag that in there, and we know this is called SM glass. Save that. And now if we go into here, we can get the drink one, and you'll see that that's the drink one. And we can set static mesh on the object mesh. Okay. This is going to get moved to here. That is going to go to there. Then we're going to get mesh. That's going to go there. Save that. Minimize that. And now, when we go into our interactable items, we'll get that And basically we can select drink, click on it, create interactable, and there is our drink. Okay. So I'll show you that again. We can move our target, create interactive, and there it is. And it's set up with can use, can pick up. That's it. Jobs are good. And all I need to do is basically go through these different images, right, and create them. Link them to the different things that I need to do. So we've got, if we look at what we've got at the moment, right, we've got weapon, we've got clothing, but we're not really using clothing yet. We've got not got fuel, but what we can do is we can set the static mesh just like we did before, and we can set this up, right? So we can set this over to here, we can set that there, get mesh, plug that in there, and now when we add whatever that is, which is fuel, that will add. Now we've got the food already, and this is the drink, we've done that, and that appears to be a drink as well. So I don't know what's going on there. That seems to be other. Right, so what I'll do is we'll remove that. We'll remove other. So we've done 5. So we've done weapon, fuel, food, drink, and the ladder. Okay. Now, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to add a fire one. Now, the fire item type is going to end up being a little bit different, but that's okay, because it's going to give us more control over it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to our interactable items, right, and we basically have this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate it. Okay, and then I'm going to rename it to BP Fire. Okay, now it's going to have the same code basically as the fire brazier, okay, but you're going to be able to incorporate each of the different meshes, etc. Okay, so we can take a look at this, and we've got an object mesh, so we can reset that, and then we've got a particle system. Okay, So our best idea here is to basically start from the top, and that would be by creating the images from our fires. Right, so we'll get rid of the grid. Right, remember Windows Shift S for the clipping tool. We're going to do a box around it and make it as square as we can. I'm going to go to here, create a new image, and it's not very square. It's not bad, but it's not great. So we'll go 4, 2, 3, which is the biggest out of the width and the height. Then we'll paste it in. We'll move it to the bottom a bit. That'll do it. Right. Deselect it, grab our paint, and there we go. Then resize it back down to 256 by 256. Then save as, and we're going to need a new folder. We're going to call it fire. Open that, and we've got, this is another little thing I do, is I just copy the name straight out of there, then go straight back to here, then just put img underscore and then paste in the name. Okay, so we're done with that. We can open this. It's a rather, it is a pretty slow and laborious thing, but there's a lot of stuff that isn't as that you've just got to do, right? It's just one of them things. So that's going to go in there, and the easiest way to do that, if we wanted, is just to go to fire and drag that into there. Right, now we now need our category. Okay, so this is where we're gradually going to build up what we're doing here. So we're going to go back to our interactable items. Okay. And go to here. Not there actually. So we're going to struct enums and DTs. So we need our interactable type. Okay, and we're going to add a new, and it's going to be fire. Okay, so we're going to save that. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to here, and we're going to change our type to fire. We're going to save that. Then we're going to go in here we are going to copy this. Okay, but this is going to be BP underscore fire. Okay. We're going to drag that in there. Now, so we can join this up easier. As I said, these things take a lot of time, right? And it doesn't really become apparent till later, the advantage of doing this, right? Because it's going to be a lot of work until we actually start seeing the benefits. Okay, and we ain't going to see the benefits straight away. It's just going to be a lot of making new widgets, making the widget stuff, making it do loads of things, and it's all going to seem a lot of work for nothing, but it is going to pay off in the end. Or at least that's the idea. Now, this one is going to be slightly different, right? I've got to say that. And the reason it's going to be slightly different is because basically our fire is going to have some, well, in the end, all of our stuff is going to have some individual characteristics. Right, now the easiest way to describe that is our fire is going to have a mesh, right? And that mesh is going to determine where the particles are going to go, right? So we're going to be wanting the level designer to be able to easily access those things, right? So if they select a fire, so for example, we're going to have to copy, if we look over here, we've got our fire brazier, right? So this is our brazier here, and it is set to can use only and needs resource, okay? So in effect, when you come to here, can use, needs resource, fire, nothing happening. Okay, so I'm going to have to see what the problem is here. So let's do that first. So we're going to close our fire brazier down. So we've got our fire. Okay. And we need DT item helper. And that's okay. Item type fire. Right, that's okay. So what's the issue here? Interesting. Okay. So, item helper. So, we're passing in item data. Okay. We're getting our image and we're setting our style and breakpoint. And this probably ain't gonna work, or it ain't gonna break. Ah, I need to do that. That's the problem. Right, so if I now delete that and we put our thing there, okay, and now in the short term what I'm going to do is I'm going to auto activate the particle system. Okay, so if we go back to here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to close that, I'm going to close that and that. I'm not going to close this. I'm going to go to the particle system, and that's got fire, which is fine. Right, and we're going to say auto activate. Okay. Now, as you can see, the problem is it's too high. So, if we look at BP fire, we can go to particle system, right? But we can do it by dragging this down. But as you can see, this particular fire doesn't really work with this thing. Right? So we really need a different fire for this. Okay? So this is where things get complicated, and also a little more interesting, right? Because for the fire, we need to select, just moved in my chair, that made a weird sound. Yeah, we need a way to select the particle system that we want. Right now, we could just do it like this. Right, that's a bit on the big side. again a bit on the big side. And as you can see, this ain't the greatest of fires. And yeah, we don't seem to have the greatest, well, at least yeah, that's not the most inspiring of things. Yeah. Torch fire. So we're going to have to find an appropriate set of fires, I suppose. Anyway, that's kind of not the point of what I'm doing here, right? We've got a particle system, and what we actually really want to do here is add a Niagara particle system. Okay, and switch that off, and this one basically switch this one on. And this is the torch one, isn't it? Yeah. So now this looks like it could be a bit better if we were to scale it up. But even still, it's not that great. Right, so basically we need to find something that's going to fit with that, but I'm not going to waste too much more time on it, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a break for 2 minutes, grab a cigarette. So if you're enjoying the content, hit like, subscribe, check out the description for links to my Discord, Patreon to support the channel and the game, and my previous game on Steam. I shall be back in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere, guys. Okay guys, we're back. So let's get some of these other images and stuff into our game or into our editor widget so that we can actually do some stuff, and we shall worry about our little particle system later, shall we? Right, but basically we're going to have to select different positions depending on which mesh we are using, right? Which was always going to be the issue here, but that's not a problem for now. Not a problem for now. So if we go back to our fire, and what we can do here is go to rename, copy the name, open it up, click off the grid. That'll do nicely. Windows Shift S to clip. That doesn't look very square, but we're not going to worry about that. We'll fix that in a second. New. Actually, it wasn't too bad at all. We'll OK that, paste it in, image, resize it, and I now realise that there was no point in copying and pasting that name because we copy and pasted the image, so that kind of rendered that pointless. And copy it now, go back to here, file, save as. We're in our files, so we just type in image underscore paste, save, OK that, into image file, bring up a folder, drag it in. Okay, then go back up. We're doing SM Fire Pit. Windows Shift S. Go with that. File new. And we shall go 417 on that one. OK that. Paste it in. Escape. Fill tool, fill it. Image. Resize. 256. Now if anybody in chat there knows a better, faster way of doing this, then by all means let me know. There probably is, but right, we're cancelling that. Going to file, save as, rename, copy, click off it, back to our image, here, image, underscore, paste, save, go, open here, go to our images, drag a third one in, there we go. So this is normally the way I do it. I haven't added these yet to our different things in our DT helpers, but we will. So open that, Windows Shift S, grab that, looks okay to me. Open that, file new. Oh, that was very close. So we'll okay that. I'll paste that. Image, resize, 256. 256. Okay that. Now click on this. Rename. Copy. Vector paint to here, file, save as, image underscore paste. Okay, that right. So we've got that. All we need to do now, we could do this by basically grabbing these all at once or doing it one by one. It's up to you, your preference, right? What we're going to do now is save all. We're going to go to our DT. We've got our small brazier, so we're going to add, I'm going to say 20. These are our images, so we're going to grab that. Now again, we can do this in whatever way we want, or so we can basically add another 2. And okay, whatever. 22. Then we can go with a fire pit. Go with that. Then we can go back up to here. We can go SM Brazier. Fire pit. And at this point, what we want to do is go to fire. This one, change it to fire. Then this one. We can drag that in there, change that to fire, save that. Okay, so now that we've saved that, we can go weapon, change it back to fire, and we have now our 4 fires. Okay, now none of this stuff is going to get used in the game, right? These data tables with all this stuff, this is purely as helpers. We may use some of the images, right, as inventory images, but in the short term, this is purely to help the level designer be able to visualize what he's adding and add them as interactable items as well as just meshes. Okay, so, and one of my ideas here is basically, I'm going to test this out with you guys, right? I'm going to go to our item helper, right? And I'm going to create a helper widget. Right? So I believe that's just a widget. Now I could do this as a widget, or actually, yeah, we'll use it. We'll do it as an editor widget, and we'll call it w_fire helper. Okay. And what I'm thinking here is if you select this, right, you can creates the widget, right, and it's called fire helper. Now I'm not sure where this is going to go on the screen, if it's even going to go in the world at all. Right, now the question is add to viewport, because I might need to actually change this to be a standard widget. I'm not 100% sure on this at all. Right, so we're going to have to just suck it and see. See what it actually does. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a button and see what it does. See where it actually pops up. Right, we'll just get it to fill the whole window, just for a laugh. Right, so this is going to be interesting. Maybe, or maybe it's not. So we're going to create a fire, and it's going to be that one, interactable, and we didn't get our button. Okay. Now, yeah, it hasn't actually done that code. Okay, because it didn't select the fire, therefore it did not actually do what it's supposed to do. Right, so I am just wondering if you run this, the reason I think it's run is because when you normally start, like if I wanted to restart this, right, if I close this down for now, right, what I'd need to do is go to our content browser, right, go to this one and run the editor utility widget, right, and that brings it up. Okay, now I'm just thinking, if it's the same thing here, I would have to run this to make it pop up, if that is the case, right? So in theory, if I pick fire and then select one of these, it's not doing it, right? But if I do this and go fire helper and then run it, I get that. Okay, so I don't know why or how I open this widget with this, because I thought it would be that, but it's obviously not. So you'd be expecting run utility widget, it's not there, so there's no event run, none of that. See, there's this. Editor utility actor, editor utility object, editor utility widget. So I'm still pretty sure that's it, right? But I'm going to say self, right? And I'm going to do that. Maybe this is right. I'm just learning about the editor, what you can do with it, and I didn't want to press play. Darn it. Never mind. Right, okay, so we want to do that. Then we want to minimize that. We want to be running this. This is all empty. Nothing there. Which is a bit of a bummer. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to print text Right, we're going to say self again. I wonder if you can get world. And what's that got for us here? Let's editor world. It can be used by, right, okay, get editor world. Okie dokie. So we'll try that. And our world context object is going to obviously then be that. Right. So let's try that. Minimize that. Okay. That didn't work. So what we're going to do is we're going to do that. And we're going to move that to there. Put that there. And then we're going to print get display name. And that's going to go in there. Okay, so now if we look at our output log, we should get something printed in here when we actually do this and do fire. And we are not. Okay, so I'm kind of guessing that we need to do this as an actual widget. Right, so I'm going to cancel that for now. And then I'm going to delete that. Then I'm going to create a normal widget. W fire helper 2. Right. I'm going to do exactly the same thing. And I've got a sneaking suspicion this isn't going to do anything either. Right. Right. So create excuse me, create widget. It's going to go in there. Then our fire helper 2. Did we save that? Say fire helper 2. And Now this isn't going to work, right? Add to viewport, right? Now this isn't going to work because the game isn't running, so it's really got nothing to run with, if you know what I mean. So I'm pretty sure this is just going to do pretty much nothing. Right, so if we create a fire, as you can see, well, we've got to create a fire, right? You'll notice that we have no, but the thing is, we didn't do this with the other ones, and that might be the problem. Right, I just basically changed these and nothing happened, so I just forgot about it, right? If I change that back, and then I say run, we're going to say run, right, and that is going to go in there, and that is going to go in there. Let's try that one more time. Now I'm still not convinced it's going to work, but so if we do that, fire, bowl, create, but we don't have our helper. Right, and it's not created it in here, and I wouldn't expect it to. Right. So again, you can see there that it's not doing the thing that we need. Okay. Now the only way we could really do this is not a very good way of doing it. Right, we'd have to have all of these open. Or we basically put this whole thing on a widget switcher, so that once they've selected and created interactable, it basically swapped out this for the stuff that relates to a fire. And if you select this, it switches sub to whatever relates to whatever. Yeah? I mean, that's doable. Right? So if we were to do that, right, we'd have to go to the designer, right, then this, we're going to have to rename it. Right, and then this would have to get closed right down, and then we'd have to wrap with a widget switcher. And we'd basically have to call this WS mode. Okay, and 0 is going to be create thing, and 1 is going to be amend thing, and that's going to be on another widget switcher. Right? So basically we'd want a canvas panel, right? What the heck? Undo that. Right, so we're dragging our canvas panel onto our widget switcher. Okay, and then this is actually going to be on another widget switcher, and this is going to be WS underscore item type. Okay, so let's say this would be CP weapon, and that's going to have to be a variable, right? And then we duplicate that, and just as a example, we say CP fire, right? And then we duplicate that, and that's going to be CP ladder, and we're basically going to do all of these, and each one is going to have a different set of stats on it, and that's going to actually tell me what I need for the data table for each of the different items, whether it's food, fuel, drink, weapons, probably nothing for weapons, but anyway, for ladders, if there's anything that's related to all of them but can change, then these are going to be set up in here, as well as in the item itself. Okay, so this is like a subset of item data, but it's item data for each of the different types. Okay, so there'll be item data fuel, item data food, item data, and all it's going to be is, like, for example, food, it's going to be how many points it gives in value, right, etc. So at the moment we are on WS0, right? So we can test this now by going into our graph, right? And we can go to our widget switcher mode, right? And we can set this. We can set our index, right? to 1. Okay. We can delete all that. Now, we could create widgets for each of our different, we can do widgets for each of our different things. Right? Or alternatively, we could create the widget switcher inside the middle portion of our window, like in this section here. Right, so when you're selecting something, you pick, let's say, fire, and you say can use, can pick up. Select that, right? And that's not worked. Okay. Okay, what's going on there then? That's bizarre. Okay. Hang on a second here. If we go to designer, yeah, it should show that. Nothing. And that is widget switcher index 1. Well, that's all very interesting. Okay. Am I doing anything weird? Delete that. Right, is there anything there that would stop it doing anything weird? I don't think so. Let's try that again. Right, I'll delete that. Now this is definitely the fire. Do that. Create. Yeah, did it. Right. Thank goodness for that. Okay. So we're going to delete that and save it. So that brings that back, right? And we're going to have to create a few variables here. But I think we're going to leave that till tomorrow night, okay? Or sorry, tomorrow afternoon. So if you've enjoyed this content and a little exploration into editor utilities and widgets, then hit the like and subscribe, especially subscribe, that would help a lot. And check out the description for my previous game on Steam, my Discord, and my Patreon, where you can support the channel and the game. So thanks for watching. I shall see you tomorrow at 2 PM Central. Bye bye for now.